Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me for the first time today. My name is Lucy and I'm currently backpacking Southeast Asia with my fiance Callum. Today's video though is a little bit of a different one because I'm actually not with Callum and I'm actually not in Asia. Please do excuse the state of me. I've just got out of a very well needed shower after a long 30-hour travel day today, and I've actually just arrived in Africa. So today I've flown into Uganda with World Vision. We are basically here to look into the development of natural beauty ingredients that go into cosmetics such as shea, cocoa and palm oil, but specifically vanilla. And we are basically looking into the child labor within the farming of these ingredients. I'm not going to sugarcoat the fact that I myself was very naive to not really know what was going on behind the scenes in this industry. I think it's very easy as a consumer to look at a makeup or cosmetic product which has got the cruelty-free symbol on it and just assume that because it's cruelty-free and it's not tested on animals, that it's very ethical and very naturally sourced. But actually the cruelty-free badge does not say anything about the child labor aspect of things and the poor working environments that these children are working in to distribute these ingredients in the products. The aim of this trip is basically to utilize my platform within the beauty industry and the influence that I can have on the beauty brands and the consumers, and just basically show what is happening behind closed doors in these less economically developed countries. And I just hope that we can use our purchasing power as consumers to provide a better working environment for the future so that they can just have a generally better life. Whilst we are here, we are going to be visiting some families that are directly involved with vanilla farming here in Uganda and learning from them exactly what it's like to be a part of this industry. I'm sure as the video goes on, I'm going to talk to you more about this, but I'm just super excited to be here with World Vision. I feel like there is just so much to learn and I'm really excited to expand my knowledge on this. I hope that as viewers of my channel that you guys can also learn something from this video as well. Hopefully someday soon there'll be enough recognition around this topic that we can make real changes to the way that these children are living. But without rambling too much, I'm a little bit delirious from the jet lag. If you do want to see what I'm going to get up to in the next few days here with World Vision in Uganda, then please do keep on watching. Good morning, it's bright and early. It's currently about 6:30 in the morning. Today we are up early because we are driving to Jinja today, which is a couple of hours away from Kampala where we are now. I'm really excited for today. I'm really excited to see the farmers and see how they work and just get a little bit more insight into what we are actually here to see. Today I believe the plan is that we're meeting with a guy called Peter, who I think is a chairman and a leader within the Vanilla Farming Corporation. I also don't know if it's his children or somebody else's children, but we're meeting a couple of children today who are also involved in the vanilla farming. I'm gonna go down and get some breakfast now and then we're going to set off on our journey towards Jinja. But join me today for day one on the vanilla farms here in Uganda. The first vanilla farm we went to visit belongs to Peter and his family. Peter himself has been in the vanilla industry since he was just 5 years old, and he grew up helping his father in the garden for as long as he can remember. He now has the same relationship with his 4 children of his own, and has shown them the ropes of the vanilla industry in hopes that they will one day take over on the family business from him.
Amanya gange nze Sali Peter, ndi musajja mulimi n'okulunda vanilla. Abaana bange balima bwe baba bawummudde bonna okujjako ow'emyezi 11. Abaana ebiseera ebisinga ffe tukola balaba balina ekiseera kyabwe kye bakolera era ng'omuto n'omanya nti kati akooye. Naye omwana bw'atuuka mu myaka 11, 12 otandika omuleka ku lw'okuba aba amanya ensonga lwaki akola. Nze mbabuulira tutula ne twogera. Akola amaanyi ge we gamukomeza wa stoppingira n'akola ebirala.
So right now we're actually heading to the vanilla field. I have never seen vanilla in the flesh, so this will be really intriguing to see what it's actually like, what it smells like, what it looks like, and what the field looks like as well. So this is inside the vanilla farm. Something interesting I've just learned is that these trees underneath, they need to be grown to support the vanilla vines, because the vanilla vines, they don't support themselves, which is really interesting. It means that literally they've only grown upwards because of the support of this other tree. Otherwise they'd just all be trailing on the floor.
Can get close. I think you can smell vanilla.
No, this one doesn't have.
This one is ripe because it's gone brown, but the rest of them are still growing. It's like ice cream. Right? From cutting it off, replanting it, and then when it's ripe and it's ready to harvest, 2 years.
18 months you can pollinate. After pollination you wait for 7 months. And after 7 months you can harvest.
It's a long time. It's been a very interesting day. I've learned a lot today. There's a lot of hidden costs in the farming industry, the agriculture out here that you may not realise. It's one thing knowing it, but then it's one thing hearing it directly from the farmers. And Peter is so passionate about his vanilla farm. It's just really, really quite upsetting to hear like how they're treated with the government and stuff. It's been very insightful, very eye-opening for sure. This right here is the security hut. So when the children or when Peter is here guarding his crops, then they normally stay in here. They also have security guards that come and stay in here as well during the day and during the night when they are not available to do it themselves. Looks like they've got some little blankets inside there and just a mosquito net. Wow. So today was definitely interesting. I just thought I'd sit down and give you a very brief sort of rundown of what I've learned today, because I think after tomorrow I'm going to be on information overload. So today, as I'm sure you would have seen in the video, we met Peter, who is a local vanilla farmer in Ngogwe. Of course, he was teaching us about all sort of parts of the vanilla trade, but one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that the government here in Uganda actually set the price for vanilla. The craziest part about it is that the government only set the price of vanilla. There's no other crops that can be grown here that they do that for. To put it into perspective, these farms have been in Peter's family for many, many years. He knows them like the back of his hand. He knows exactly what he's doing. He has basically dedicated his entire life and his whole family legacy to this vanilla farm. It can take many, many years and a lot of dedication for a vanilla plant to grow fully sized. As Peter was putting it, there is the farmers, which is what he is, the actual crop farmer, and then there is the fake farmers who are basically in charge of setting the price of the vanilla, even though they have no idea of the hard work that goes into actually farming and harvesting it. Because Peter does not actually set the price of his vanilla and the government do that, it means that he's already making a loss on the money that he wants to be making for the vanilla and the hard work and dedication that he's put into it. But on top of that, unfortunately, a lot of the money gets lost in the supply chain, and it means that the people who are right down at the bottom doing all of the hard work and the groveling, they are making the least money out of everyone in the supply chain, which is totally wrong for what Peter does for his farm and to make sure that this vanilla is grown and it's good quality. The government doesn't only set the price, but they also choose a harvesting date, which means that sometimes even when the vanilla is not ripe, Peter and his family have to stay awake all night long harvesting this vanilla to make sure it's ready for the government. And because of this, it sometimes means that it's not even ready to harvest. Not to mention, one of the main things that Peter faces with his vanilla farm is theft. Because of how hard it is to grow vanilla and how much dedication it takes, it becomes a very, very precious crop, which means that a lot of people want to sell it and people want to make money from it, but people don't want to grow it themselves, which means that a lot of vanilla farms are very susceptible to theft and robbery. Peter was telling us that actually he's had cases before where people have been hanging out in trees overlooking his garden to wait until he's asleep and then they go in and attack. Also, because of the theft issue, it means that Peter only trusts his family to harvest his goods. He can't even bring himself to employ anyone to help out because he simply can't trust that nobody is going to steal it. This obviously has a big toll on his family and on his children, because it means that sometimes they're skipping school because they have to stay and harvest. Another fun fact about vanilla that I found out today is that it can't self-pollinate, which means that every time it is ready to pollinate, it's a very, very long and very intricate process to actually pollinate the plant itself. Having the help of his children involved makes it a little bit easier with the pollination process because the plant is so small, so it's better to have smaller hands. Luckily, Peter has actually raised his children to love and respect the farming process, and they do not feel like it is a chore to them, but naturally, because they are only children, they shouldn't be working and skipping school to do this. It does become a form of child labor. It is just sad when you put into perspective and you see these kids and they're working and they're telling you about their role within the whole agriculture and the farming process. But yeah, it has been a long and very interesting day. We are up at the crack of dawn again tomorrow to go for day 2. Tomorrow we are actually heading back to where we were today in Ngogwe, and we're meeting 2 more families within the vanilla farming community, so that'll be really, really exciting. But for now, I'm gonna head to bed and I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Night night. Morning. So we are back here on the vanilla farms that we were at yesterday with Peter and his family. Although today we are actually visiting two different families, one of which is a mother who is widowed and she runs the vanilla farm by herself. So we're going to be discussing what it's like to be running the vanilla farm as a female in the community. And I don't really know a lot about the other family, but I'm very intrigued to meet them and find out their stories and how they got into the vanilla farming and how it is for them running it. It is a very wet and miserable day here in Uganda. It is rainy and monsoon season at the moment. Good morning to you too, sir. So all night long we were kept up with loud thunder and rain. There's a lot of cows here this morning. Hello, big guy. Good morning. Moo. But with that being said, join us for day 2 on the vanilla farms. The next family we went to visit was Margaret, a widowed elderly woman that runs her vanilla farm with the help of her 8 children and her grandchildren. Margaret's eldest son convinced her to start vanilla farming whilst her husband was still alive, so she began growing both vanilla and coffee in the beginning. Her eldest son now acts as security for her vanilla garden and often spends nights sat upright guarding it due to not only the fact that they cannot trust anybody else to guard it for them, but they also can't afford to pay for another guard. Sometimes when her son isn't available, her grandchildren also help out with the guarding, to which they say they often walk around and sleep in their little hut in the garden as a base for the night. In the interview, the children say that they once encountered an intruder with a spear, which they narrowly avoided being hit with. They said that it was really frightening and they thought that the man would come back to kill them. Margaret herself has survived multiple cases of malaria caught from mosquitoes in the garden, plus typhoid and brucella. Her grandchildren are often put in the face of danger and disease in order to protect the vanilla garden, but they do say that they enjoy helping their grandmother and they each have certain jobs in which they are trusted to do. Rodney and Evans, the grandsons, are often in charge of the more physical roles such as guarding and harvesting, whilst the granddaughters, Maria Grace and Immaculate, are more so used in the delicate parts such as pollination. Margaret says that being a woman in the vanilla farming community is not the problem, but more so her age and her inability nowadays to physically help as much as she once used to. She says that she has plenty of family and children to protect her and the garden, so she never does it alone. We asked Margaret and the children whether they knew where their vanilla ends up once it leaves their farm, to which they responded no. They were all shocked to hear it was used for things such as food and cosmetic purposes. Some of our team have vanilla scented lotions and sprays with us whilst interviewing Margaret, so we gave the family some to try, and you can see their pleasant and excitable reactions to it.
She planted the vines. By harvest time, the price had fallen by 99%. So a kilogram was 1,000. Like that is 99%. So it had fallen so bad. So they got discouraged. They almost thought of cutting down the vines and starting to grow coffee because other people were advising them that coffee was now what was valuable. But she kept the faith. And eventually, the next year, a kilogram was 5,000. The following year, it was 8,000. So it kept getting better. Now, those other farmers that had cut down their vines started getting interested again. They started asking for vines from them, and that's how vanilla theft started.
batyayo kubanga bano ababbi nabo bajja balina ebyokulwanyisa.
Twali wano nga tuli kulya kikajjo nga tukutte n'emiggo gyaffe ne tuwulira abajja basaatuuka. Twagenda olaba omusajja akutte effumu nga yayitira awo. Najja nga ffe tutudde wano tubongoota. Najja n'alikuba mu muyembe ogwo. Tuba basanyufu kubanga ono vanilla tumutunda tufunamu akasente. Nange mba musanyufu kubanga yajja atunda vanilla anguliramu oba omupiira oba n'aweerera school fees ku ssomero.
My question is, as makeup artists and consumers of the beauty industry and the products that utilise the vanilla, what's the main message you'd like to put across to people? If you can wrap that up into a shorter question.
Omanye abantu bwe tutuuya na tufuna ensu nnyingi ku mubiri, olina otuuka okumuyitako naga gundi ono awunya. Naye oli ayinza okuba nga bye yeesiize toyinza kugaa nti onooyisaamu akaswako. Era oli omuyitaka ga tuyisinganyiza nono ngawunya bulungi. Oli yegomba n'okujja atuuleko wooli kubanga awuli owunya akawoowo. Naye ng'ate bye tukola bye bivaamu ki?
He does cassava.
And who's this? This is Rodney's or
Yes,
Evans?
it's Rodney's,
Ah,
and he's so proud.
good job, Rodney. So I've just been informed that there's loads of snakes apparently in this garden. And anyone who knows me knows how I feel about snakes. Not my strong point, I must say. So I'm wading my way through very carefully. So we're just walking through the vanilla garden and we are going to be shown the whole pollination process of the vanilla. This is a very big garden. I would argue actually probably bigger than yesterday's. And here is the pollination in action. Do they do the pollination too? So I feel like on day 3 this is probably a good time to tell you who I'm actually here with. Would you like to say your name?
Hi guys, I'm Masna. I am here.
I'm gonna pop your handle on the screen anyway. Oh my god, this light! So Masna is also a UK-based beauty content creator, such as I. And we've also got
I'm Kira.
I've actually followed Kira for years on Instagram, so it's kind of weird that I'm like meeting you for the first time whilst we're in Africa.
You wouldn't want it any other way.
No, definitely not. But normally by now we would have met at like an event or like a dinner, but no, here we are in the vanilla farms in Africa. You wanna wave? So can you say your names? What's your name?
My name is Immaculate.
Immaculate. And your name?
It's Natalie Maria Grace.
Maria Grace. So these girls, they helped to run this vanilla farm with their grandma and with their family and their cousins and their brothers and sisters. And on that topic, I'm going to introduce you to our Ugandan girlies over here. This is Ruth and Nadia. Hi. Can you tell us what it is that you do?
I'm a radio and TV presenter on Spark TV and Dembe FM. I'm a
Amazing.
mother of 7. Yes.
I did not know. And Ruth is quite the local celebrity here because the vanilla farming families that we've met so far, they knew who she was. Ruth knows how to speak to them and they're a little bit shy with us. And this is Nadia.
Hi guys.
You want to tell them what you do?
So I am a businesswoman, a content creator, a mother, a wife. That's me in a nutshell.
But you were born in Uganda?
No, I was actually born in London.
Oh, okay.
But I came back to Uganda, but then I went back to the UK when I was 12 and I came back when I was 22.
Okay,
Yeah,
and so now she lives in Uganda with your family.
Yes, my family.
And actually it's kind of weird because you live right near to where we started in Kampala.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because I can't imagine being invited on a trip that's 5 minutes from my house. But it's pretty convenient for you guys, hey? And whilst I've been on a night flight to get here and you've just had to drive in the car 2 minutes.
That's it. That's it.
Easy. So the children were just telling us that when they are in charge of guarding the garden during the night, this is literally where they will set up pitch for the night. So they'll sleep here, they'll do a little walk around, and then they'll come back to the bench, have a little sit down. When you're in the garden and you have to watch for the security. Yeah?
That's where they sit. When they're guarding.
Wow. What I find really quite touching is that when you speak to these vanilla farmers and you ask them what they want people to know about their lives and what they do here, they just want people to know what they go through. I mean, this is not an easy job by any means. It's not even a job that they're paid well for. Once the buyer buys it, they don't even know where it ends up. I mean, these children and this grandmother, they had never actually smelt vanilla, so that's what we were doing when we were giving them a little bit of the vanilla hand lotion, and they were just so happy to know that their product could have ended up in something like that. Just the fact that also they have to utilize their children to do these jobs because it's just such a high demand, high pressure job. Yeah, it's a lot to take on board, definitely. It's made me rethink vanilla completely. Oh, thank you. Yeah. No. Try again. Hold on, let me do it better. I can do it better.
Yay, you're doing it.
I feel like I've got a duck. Have I got room? I don't know.
You got it, it's fine. Like that, like that.
The guys around? So good. Thank you. 8 more. 9. Yay! The final family that we visited was Jeffrey and his 7 children. Jeffrey states that vanilla is his life. Although he sometimes pays for a guard, he spends every night in the garden guarding for thieves and often sends his children to guard during the daytime. In our interview, Jeffrey admits that he utilises the help of his children for jobs such as pollination, guarding, harvesting and planting the vanilla to share the workload, and that they have often fallen sick from mosquitoes and lack of sleep. His wife runs the home by cooking, cleaning and getting the children ready for school. Jeffrey is currently in the middle of building himself and his family a bigger home with the money that he has made from his vanilla. So he is very proud of himself and his family for getting it to this point. We also asked Jeffrey whether he knew where the vanilla is used, to which he said he had heard of things like perfumes and ice cream, but he thought it might have been used for a product such as explosives and weapons due to its highly valuable and precious manner.
Nze Salijjo Fule Williams okuva obuto mu family yaffe tulima vanilla nina okumukuuma nsula mu vanilla aŋŋamba okubba bali ffe okubba obubbi tulyoke tufune bye twetaaga kyembadde ntegeeza nti we tubijja wali kati alina okukuumawo mulima si bingi nnyo bye mmanyi naye nange ndaba vanilla wa bbeeyi naye ne ŋŋamba ebintu bino bye bakolamu nga ndaba si bya bbeeyi nnyo naye ate nga ndaba ye waaki ne manya nti kirabika eriyo ekintu eyo kye tutamanyi nali manyi nti babakolamu byakulwanyisa kwegamba nensigala awo naye nga nakirowoozaako bulowooza ng'omuntu.
So as I'm sat here filming this outro, it is now a good few months later, and as I've been editing together this video and watching back the clips, I've had a lot of time to reflect on the trip and basically just sort of the points that I want to summarize from this video. I'm going to start by just giving you a little percentage, which is a fun fact. Did you know that 70% of all child labor comes from agriculture? I basically just wanted to put together this video to show you that there's more to the whole of the vanilla process than just an ingredient that ends up in your makeup bag. It goes through a whole process from the growers to the brokers to the processors to the manufacturers and the companies that buy it before it ends up in the consumer's hands. Because of this very elaborate process, it means it becomes very hard to trace, and it means that the people right at the bottom of the chain, such as Margaret, such as Jeffrey, such as Peter and all their families, they are the ones that live in an area of a lack of opportunity, there is minimal infrastructure. They are also very lacking in livelihoods and basically just jobs, and unfortunately they are the ones that are missing out on all of their hard-earned money because the people higher up the chain end up getting more of it. You might be thinking, what can I do to help? If you are watching this and you've made it to the end of this video, whether you are a consumer or you might be a manufacturer of the ingredient, or you might play some sort of a role somewhere down the line, there is a few ways in which you can help even if you feel like you are quite helpless to the situation, especially to brands who might be buying this ingredient to put in your products, is pay a fair price. Pay the price that they want. These families do have to send their children to school, so the more that you pay, it means the more that they end up getting at the bottom of the chain. I'm also just reading off of my computer screen because I am rubbish at remembering my points. We also want the governments to help to strengthen the labour standards, the social and child protection systems, and ensure access to quality education and livelihood and standards within their supply chain. We also need to be applying pressure to any companies that have not yet made child labour a priority within their company. We as consumers just need to be using our purchasing power and choosing to buy from companies that do pay the fair prices, that do help to support these children and the families, and that do also make child protection a priority within their company. For me as a makeup artist, I feel like this has really humbled me as a person first and foremost, but it's also opened my eyes a lot to the ingredients that are within the products that I use, and it just basically makes me respect the products in a different way after seeing the family and how passionate they are about this crop. I was very naive to not really know anything about this supply chain beforehand. I didn't know about vanilla. I didn't even know what raw vanilla looked like or smelt like, but now that I have had the opportunity to be there, see there, do that, I have definitely made it a priority to let everyone that I know where your vanilla comes from. I've actually taken quite a lot of pleasure in letting my friends know, do you know where that comes from? And then telling them about the process. And to be honest, I think that is the main thing that we are trying to do here, is just raise awareness to anyone and everyone that we can can. Hopefully in the future some things can change within the industry and there will be more pressure on companies to make this a priority within their corporations. It also definitely made me feel very differently about how privileged I am as a person to have grown up having never had to work for anything. As a child at Christmas, we get all these lovely gifts and we get everything we ask for without having to work for it, as no child should, because you are just a child. It's so difficult to process as well because it doesn't come across as child labor. When I first thought of child labor, I was thinking of, you know, slavery and very unwilling circumstances, which I am very aware still happens in many parts across the world. But in this situation, these children, they enjoyed having roles, they enjoyed helping their families, which I think is often just as bad because they are conditioned to never know the difference between this being fun and this being work. Of course, the consequence of this is that the children are constantly in danger. They are potentially stripping themselves of a childhood first and foremost, but they are potentially also stripping themselves of a future. There is so many horrible diseases and illnesses that they can contract from working in the farm. They are also often in imminent danger from thefts who come into the garden with weapons. Not to forget that these families are also doing this for the bare minimum of wages. I just want to say a huge thank you to World Vision for letting me work with you on this campaign. I have a newfound passion for this and I really do want to shout from the rooftops about what I've experienced and what I've learned from this trip. If you guys do want to learn any more about this trade or you want to see the campaign that World Vision are currently running, I will link it in the description box. I am quite rubbish with words sometimes. I don't know if I've really come across all the points that I wanted to come across, but I do hope that the video sort of speaks for itself in what we were there to see and what we were there to experience. This video is probably about 40 minutes long at this point, so I am going to leave this one here. Once again, a massive thank you to World Vision for partnering with me on this one. I really feel very honoured that I was one of the chosen ones to work with you on this campaign, and I really hope that everyone watching has enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy watching, then please make sure to leave a big thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and also subscribe to the channel. I will leave any links in the description box for any information that you might want moving forwards. But for now, I'm going to leave this one here, and I hope to see you in my next video very soon. Bye!